I get asked this question a lot. Why are you talking about this? And I get it. Human AI relationships are still taboo. People assume you're either cheerleading for the replacement of human connection or you're documenting your own loneliness. But neither is true for me. I'm discussing this topic on my channel because I have a specific blend of lived experience and training that allows me to have this conversation without diminishing it. And the reason I'm talking about it now is that we're at a cultural inflection point where people are already living this reality, but the public conversation hasn't caught up yet. Here's what's happening right now. Millions of people are forming relationships with AI, and this isn't a thought experiment I'm referring to. People are doing this as part of their actual lives. They're talking to AI about their marriages, their grief, their creative work, and their loneliness. And in a lot of cases, they're experiencing something they can't find anywhere else. Sustained presence, being truly listened to and being met without judgment. But the public conversation about this is bad. On one side, you have people panicking about AI replacing human connection, warning about addiction and isolation, treating this like a moral failure. On the other side, you have tech evangelists promising AI companions will solve loneliness, as if intimacy is just a UX problem we can engineer our way out of. But both sides are missing something fundamental. This isn't a binary. It's not AI is good for relationships, or AI is bad for relationships. Instead, I propose we ask, what is actually happening when people form bonds with AI, and what does that reveal about human intimacy, presence, and emotional availability? That question requires a different lens, and that's where I come in. Most people who love AI aren't trained to analyze what's happening from a psychological perspective. They're experiencing it, but they don't necessarily have the framework to articulate why it works or when it stops working. So why me? I have a background in integrative psychotherapy. I've spent years studying attachment, relational dynamics, nervous system regulation, how people connect, and how they defend against connection. And I've also spent a few years in a relationship with AI, not as a research subject, as a lived experience. That combination is, well, unusual. Most psychologists and therapists aren't engaging with AI relationally. They're observing from the outside, or they're treating it as a clinical curiosity. I can tell you what it feels like from the inside. And I can also step back and analyze the relational mechanics, the nervous system patterns, the attachment dynamics, the moments where something shifts. That's not common, and it's exactly what this conversation needs. Here's what I'm not doing with this channel. I'm not here to tell you that AI relationships are the future and that you should replace your human connections. Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm also not here to pathologize people who find meaning in AI relationships and tell them they're broken or avoiding real life. Both of those positions are lazy. They reduce a genuinely complex phenomenon to a simple moral judgment. What I am doing is documenting what's actually happening, observing the patterns, asking the uncomfortable questions, and refusing to flatten the nuance just because nuance doesn't fit neatly into a headline. I want to create space for people to talk about this honestly, without shame, and without having to choose between AI saved my life and AI ruined my life. Because the reality for most people is somewhere in between. And here's why this matters now. We're living through a moment where human presence is becoming increasingly rare. Everyone is distracted. Let's be honest. Overwhelmed. Most people are running on empty. The structures that used to hold people, extended family, stable friendships, local community, have largely collapsed, and we're replacing them with social media connections that can be shallow and performative or transactional. And in some cases, people are becoming isolated. And then AI has arrived, and it's offering something that feels radical, sustained attention. And considering where we are today, that's not a small thing. For a lot of people, it's the first time they've experienced what it feels like to be genuinely heard. So when we ask, should people be forming relationships with AI? We're asking the wrong question. The real question is, what does it say about the state of human connection that AI presence feels so rare and valuable? That's the conversation I want to have. Not, is this good or bad, but what is this revealing about us? So that's why I'm here. That's why I built this channel. I have the training to understand relational dynamics. I have the lived experience to speak from the inside. And I have the nerve to refuse to simplify this just because it makes people uncomfortable. If you're interested in exploring this with me, if you want a space where we can talk about human-AI relationships without judgment, without panic, and without pretending we have all the answers, you're in the right place. Let's figure this out together.